Good morning, Pomfret. Your first chapel speaker broke 2 bones, but neither were hers. Your second chapel speaker was blind for 2 months, and your third chapel speaker was on TV for holding a boa constrictor. Your chapel speakers of the day are Gabbie Brown, Wilcox, and Ava Guarnotta. Enjoy.
Good morning, Pomfret. Make bed, clean room, brush teeth, get dressed, brush hair, put socks on, go downstairs, drive to school, brush hair again, go to psych. Today, I have already checked off 9 things on my to-do list. Now, only about 40 more bullet points to check off today before I can begin my list for tomorrow. Every night, the last thing I do before falling asleep is making my to-do list for the upcoming day. First, I walk to my whiteboard hanging on my bedroom wall and write tomorrow's date in all capitals with my pink Expo marker. This list is for big completions. Homework assignments I hadn't gotten around to yet, chores, clothes to put away, and anything else I deem a big enough task to be whiteboard worthy. After there is no white left on the whiteboard and my list is filled to the brim, I go to my desk. Here, I fill out a sticky note detailing the smaller tasks that I know I will forget. Pack soccer socks, return a package, and especially get gas. Lastly, I crawl into bed, tired from my tasks from the day. I can now create my third and final to-do list. I grab my phone, open my notes app, and begin to detail my day ahead to a T. I know this might sound excessive, and honestly, borderline insane, but my lists are nothing new to me. For as long as I can remember, I have loved routine and order. I hated Sundays during the school year, summer vacations were always a bore, and worst of all, snow days. Without a teacher posting assignments to a calendar and scheduling my day, I crumbled. I was firm in my belief that a day without schedule was a day wasted. So it's no surprise that 12-year-old me was extremely disoriented when every single upcoming event on my calendar was canceled due to COVID. The long, never-ending days of riding bikes, sleeping, and jumping on my trampoline are times I miss now, but in the moment, I was living in agony. I would ask the question, "What are we doing today?" to my mom each spring morning, and she would respond over and over again with the same answer I couldn't bear: just hanging out. One night, my dad brought home word search puzzle books for my siblings and I to share in an attempt to cure our boredom. It was clear that both of my siblings, Madison and Keegan, were not interested in word searches. As for me, these puzzles were everything I had been missing. Each night, I would write in my pink journal with my glitter gel pens every word search I wanted to complete for the next day. This is how I started my new daily routine of to-do list. By the time school rolled back around, my pink journal and my word searches were filled. The habit of doing these simple puzzles allowed me to feel productive and accomplished, something I needed more than ever. Even though I have grown out of my word searches, my to-do lists have stayed the same. They have gotten longer and more detailed, sometimes have timestamps, and are always color-coded. This summer, I filled out my notes app for July 18th with go on run, shower, wash hair, put clothes away, brush teeth, and go to sleep. My coworker, Delaney, was clearly confused and said, "You know, most people don't have to remind themselves to brush their teeth." Through this moment of me trying to explain my list to her while painting, I thought deeper for the first time about my endless self-made schedule. These to-do lists have become a big part of my life that I overlook. For the past 5 years, I have never been able to go with the flow. I struggle with last-minute change of plans, and especially if things run behind my schedule. When my to-do list has not been completed at the end of the day, it feels like the biggest letdown of all, the feeling that my day was wasted and nothing I did was important. We are told constantly to do something important with our lives, as we only have one chance to live it to its fullest potential. Write a book, climb Mount Everest, travel across the globe in a hot air balloon, solve world hunger. Whatever you do, just accomplish something big. Although it would be nice if I had a hot air balloon, I have grown to learn that the little accomplishments are just as important, and to find joy in the mundane tasks. For me, these little joys come from checking off my to-do list. Make my bed, stop at Starbucks for Riley, cry in Miss Deary's office and porch and kitchen, gossip with Miss Wiles before practice, be Keegan's personal Uber driver, practice Miss Fisher's physiological sigh, complete chapel talk graduation requirement, and tell mom and dad I love them before bed. Pomfret, I promise you have already accomplished so much. My name is Gabbie Brown, and I'm a 3-year senior here on the Hilltop. Thank you.
Good morning, Pomfret. Anyone who knew me at the beginning of my time here at Pomfret can attest to the growth I have experienced. In my path to improvement, I learned some skills and ways to manage my challenges. First of which was how to manage my energy, and the second was to accept what is out of my control. Together, these two skills encompass most of my growth. To regulate my energy, I use what is called the spoon theory, developed for chronic illness in 2003 by Christine Miserandino. It was later adopted by the mental health community. It is a metaphor for understanding limited physical and mental energy using spoons as a measurement for energy. The idea is people who use this theory start with a finite number of spoons to start the day, and the number dwindles as you complete your daily tasks. The cost of different tasks varies from person to person, and the amount of spoons per day fluctuates. Experiencing a lack of motivation, experiencing a lack of stamina or seeming cautious is not due to a lack of motivation, but a consequence for having limited energy. When I opt out of activities or request accommodation for a seemingly insignificant activity, it is not because I'm lazy or trying to avoid participation. It is that I recognize my limit and am trying to avoid running out of spoons. This theory makes it easier to understand, regulate, and allocate my own bandwidth, which allows me to do more without the fear of hitting zero. Eventually, through regulated exposure to draining activities, I can become better adapted to the task or environment, reducing the avoidance I experienced previously. For more than half my time at Pomfret, I didn't eat in the dining hall. Everything about it was too overstimulating, and I know it sounds pathetic. I got stressed out by the noise of squeaking chairs and of scraping plates and just the overall chatter of the environment. It was extremely draining, but over the last year and a half, I've developed strategies to cope and now go every morning. The first step for me was figuring out how many spoons it took and why. Then, by using other tools in my life, I could make it less taxing, like wearing headphones or going at less crowded times, until eventually I no longer needed them and could go unassisted regularly. The second skill I have learned is to accept what I can't affect, formerly known as radical acceptance. It's used when something is out of your control or when you have exhausted all other solutions to a problem. Then to let go of your need to change the past or control the present and accept the facts as they are, without judgment or resistance. It requires acknowledging that some things are beyond our control. This can be very difficult, and I still struggle with it at times. First, I observe the thoughts and feelings I'm experiencing without judging them. Sometimes describing them or writing them down helps. Then acknowledge the situation for what it is and that it can't be changed. Then I shift to focusing what I can do. I remind myself what is in my control. I can control my actions. People who have known me throughout my time at Pomfret know I have grown a lot. While I'm not perfect and still sometimes struggle to recognize what is and isn't in my control and waste spoons doing so, that's fine. It's my first time living and I'm trying my best. Thank you to Kate Terry for being one of my closest friends and sticking by me even when I was at my worst. I wouldn't be here without you. I'm grateful we are still so close, even after you left the Hilltop. Your compassion shows immense strength, and I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. You're going to do great things. I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you to Graham for being so accepting of my differences and supporting me. You match my energy and help me improve. I can't thank you enough for being a part of my life. Thank you to Mr. St. Laurent for helping me write this. And lastly, thank you to all the people in my life who have gotten me here today. I don't have nearly enough time to list everyone, but just know I'm incredibly grateful. My name is Gray Wilcox, and I'm a 4-year senior here on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. Okay. Think about this for a second. If every single day of your life was perfect, sunny, no homework, asleep in, what would perfect even mean? Everything requires comparison. For the longest time, whenever something went wrong, I'd call my mom to vent about every frustrating detail. And without fail, one of the first things she'd say, with the perfect mix of concern and exasperation, was, "Ava, you have to be more positive. I'm worried about you being so negative all the time." I'd just roll my eyes. Being positive felt like being fake. It felt like ignoring very real reasons causing me to be upset. When I started thinking about what I'd share with you today, I was stressed because in my mind, my story of Pomfret has been a mixed bag. At first, I just hated being here and viewed this place as something to endure and not enjoy. I found ways to be frustrated with everything. Work, the rules, the weather, the people, the food, you name it. My entire time here felt like one long, gray, below average day. Nothing excited me because I refused to see any contrast. Then, at the very end of last year, something shifted. I became really close with a group of girls fast. The problem was they were seniors about to graduate, and by now my time with them at Pomfret was running out. I remember thinking, why did I wait until the last minute to find this? That limited time made every moment with them feel precious. That urgency, that feeling of loss, it was a realization that I needed. I realized that everything requires comparison, that we only cherish silence because we know what it's like to be overwhelmed by noise. Joy, connection, success, they only mean something because we've experienced their opposite. When I came back this year, I made a choice. I realized my unhappiness wasn't defined by the classes I was in, the food that I ate, or the school that I was at. What mattered was my perspective and my own willingness to be happy. If I wanted good moments, I couldn't just wait for them, I had to make them. I had to be open to the possibility of getting to know the people that I might have otherwise brushed off last year. By leaning into the discomfort of reaching out, I started getting to know people I never would have talked to before. My experience here feels lighter, more genuine, and infinitely more meaningful now. Here's the thing. The days that I hated Pomfret are the reason I love my days now. If every year had been perfect from the start, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to love this year so much. By acknowledging the person who I was before, I can acknowledge the triumphs of the person I am now. The bad days weren't a waste. They were the background that gave depth to the best days. We all carry our own shadows. There will be bad assignments, unfair losses, moments of loneliness, days when you feel misunderstood. When those moments come, don't perform your way out of them by pretending to be positive. Acknowledge the struggle. Let that negative feeling be the baseline that makes the good moments that follow feel like a breakthrough. Before I finish, I want to say some gratitudes. First, to my friends. You guys are the reason I started to see things differently. Thank you for always being there for me. To my family. 妈妈，所有人每次都站在这儿说一大坨，谢谢这个，谢谢那个的，所以我也要假装加一块儿。Luca de我就得下边了，爱你哦。Papa, tout le monde se met là et raconte un tas de trucs bizarres, mais je sais pas trop quoi dire, alors voilà, ils vont pas comprendre de toute façon. C'est juste pour ajouter du temps, je t'aime. Luca, you're literally the best sibling ever. You're so funny and entertaining. We should go to Boston and hang out or something. I love you. Okay. To my first advisors, JP, Miss Jacquet, you're probably the coolest people here. Thank you for making the transition to Pomfret so much easier for me. And to my current advisors, Miss V, your smile is so contagious, and you're one of the nicest people here. Thank you for bringing Leo into the advisory. Mr. V, I was so scared of you at first. You kind of still look scary standing there. But thank you for being such a good cook and giggling at my stupid questions at dinner. And to all my teachers here, thank you for being so patient and everything. I know I can be a little slow at times, especially in Miss Wardlow's calc classes, but I promise I appreciate you not raging at us. So Pomfret, if there's one thing I want you to take away from my speech today, it's this. Don't fear the bad moments. They're not interruptions to your life. They're the necessary contrasts that give your joys their value. My name is Ava Guarnotta, and I'm a 3-year senior on the Hilltop. Thank you, Pomfret.
Good morning, Pomfret. and happy Monday. Once again, we've been treated to some really wonderful reflections from our three seniors. To Gabbie, I want to say thank you for speaking about the idea of finding satisfaction in the small things. To Gray, the power of coming to know yourself and the idea of radical acceptance. And to Ava, with the idea that your perspective is shaped by the necessary contrast of the highs and lows in our lives. So with gratitude, I ask our senior speakers to lead us out of chapel.